Yeah, well, obviously after a big win against a quality team, and guys feel a lot better about themselves. But I keep reminding our guys that in this league, a big win could be every game you play, because I don't think there are any small wins right now. It's incredible what this league is like. We played some of our best defense this past year. This past game, and I mean that from a standpoint of what we did. Not just that they missed some shots, but I was very pleased by our energy and our attention to detail. And of course, had to be disappointed in something. So I was disappointed in the turnovers, especially those turnovers in that first half. I mean, they were borderline ridiculous. And going back and looking at the tape, there were just a lot of reasons that we did it. None of them were good, but some of them were definitely correctable. Aaron, in one phase, is playing his best basketball ever. He's had 2 or 3 games now in a row where I think he's doing the things that he needs to do. At Minnesota, he didn't make shots. Now he's been making shots, but he's really getting the ball to the rim. And his defense the other night, playing 34 minutes and kind of playing both ends, reminiscent of a Gary Harrison type guys like that who are getting it done. I thought Joey and Rocket both had better second halves than first half, so that was encouraging because we need those guys if we're going to become a real good team. A couple new faces for Purdue, but the record that Matt has had, the track record, has been tremendous as a coach in this league. I mean, he's done some incredible things, winning consistently. I have great respect for their program. Travion Williams, a guy that we looked at hard, and they got him, and he's a double-double machine is what he is. He can rebound, he can score. He's just becoming a great player in this league, not a good player. And unfortunately, we love Travion from Detroit, and great kid. So they return starting backcourt from last year, and Hunter and Stefanovic. And Stefanovic is a guy that's shooting 50-some% from the three. Hunter is a very athletic, quick guard who's done a lot of good things for them. Thompson is also a pair of, he makes Stefanovic and him, Hunt and Thompson are 2 guys that really can fill it up. So we're going to have to guard the three. They're among the better three-point shooters in the league. So I'm looking at it as a big challenge again, because you just came off a 9 o'clock game, and I got to tell you, that's getting a little harder, when we have these games and another game, and trying to get guys to prepare. And preparing for a game like Purdue is difficult because they run a lot of motion, so it's not as easy to pick it apart. You got to watch a lot of film, and they've got to watch a lot. But I think the players have done as good a job as they can in a 2-day prep, and hopefully we'll be ready to play tomorrow. Questions?
First with Chris Solari.
Hey, Tom, I wonder, coming off the turnovers, particularly so many of them were in the first half, how much do you think is that just getting adjusted to having a new point guard? Because I know you mentioned about the spacing issues, and some of the things that AJ does going down the lane may be a little different than the other guys.
Well, they were, and AJ had some, but Aaron had some where he caught the ball in the wing and just traveled on the break. Gabe had one of those. I mean, those are just, it doesn't matter if I was the point guard. Those kind of things that happen are just things that happen, to be honest with you. And those are the ones that I guess I could live with. There were a couple of 1 or 2 screening ones that, are okay. But the ones that AJ created are, him going a little too fast. And that's partially because of a new point guard. But nobody's going to put the pressure on you that Purdue does. So we've worked hard to shore that up. It's going to be an important part of the game, I think, on Friday night.
Go next to Kyle Austin for them live.
Hey, Tom, obviously coming off a great defensive performance, but maybe a little different challenge with Travion now, a guy that Gator, I think, would have been a key for last year. Who do you kind of look to this year for guys like him to be able to put down?
Well, in all honesty, we were pleased with the defense that Hauser and, Johnson and Harper are no easy guards. They're different, but we're going to throw the kitchen sink at them. We're going to have those two guys. We're going to bring in Marcus, who did a pretty good job against them last year with his length. We're going to bring in Marty and maybe Julius, So we're going to throw a lot of people at them. And yet what normally happens with Purdue is you start worrying about the post and they beat you from the three. So we've got to defend both. We can't get, Trayvon's going to get some buckets. Okay, he's a great player. And we can't let that interfere with, stopping the three-point shot, because eventually that's what, the twos hurt you, the threes kill you.
Go next to Lindsey Huddleston.
Hey, Tom, I want to talk about things happening on a larger scale, the huge distraction that's happening for a lot of people watching the national media. Can you talk about the power of sports right now? Sometimes it's a welcome distraction, but now it's kind of like a needed distraction for some people, that your program can allow people to watch it for a few hours and kind of get their mind off all the other things going on in the world.
It's a damn good question. And I didn't watch a lot of it because the little I watched made me sick. It was a disgrace, I think, to all of us. And in all honesty, nothing like that should be tolerated. I can only do what I can do here, and hopefully I have a platform to help others, and hopefully my players do. And I think you bring up a good point, but we're going to continue to demand and work with our players to treat everyone with respect. I didn't see anybody respecting anybody yesterday. Not what I saw. Not what I saw at our state capitol, and not what I saw at the national capitol in Washington, D.C. over the last 4 or 5 months. And take nothing away. I'm 100% agreeing that people should protest. But I've never agreed with protests that led to destruction of property or lives being lost. And as they say, I think Draymond said it, that wasn't a protest, that was a riot. And I didn't think there was any class or character showed in that. But my responsibility to my team, to my own kids, to the players, to this place I have, is to make sure that we respect everyone, honor everyone. I don't care if you're white or black or Hispanic or Jewish. I don't care if you're young or old. I really don't care if you're rich or poor. If we want equality, equality covers everything. And equality covers some of the things that went on yesterday. And I'm hoping that each and every individual that was involved in that is held responsible. But I'm going to continue to represent and kind of shoot for total equality in our program, our university, hopefully our state and our country. And those are big goals. So I can control one in my mind. I can control the one here. And I can start to control or help control the one in our state. But I don't know enough about it, Lindsey, to continue, except that I was disgusted and disgraced by what went on. And it makes it very difficult to see things like that happen and then have to go talk to your players and think of some of the things that have happened over the summer and not feel there is some injustice. And so, you know what? I don't consider that kind of protest American. I really don't. And I'm just going to stick with what I said and handle things the best I can handle here. But it makes me want to fight even harder for this equality that we all need, and makes me fight harder for protesting. I agree with protesting. I think people got to be able to say and do what they think. It's just we got to quit getting to this destructive way and lives being lost. And that's what I'm shooting for, Lindsey.
Thank you for sharing that, Tom.
Go next to Matt Charbonneau.
Tom, it feels weird sometimes after what we saw yesterday to talk basketball, but obviously we get back to it tomorrow. And going back to the defense, Rutgers came in a pretty good three-point shooting team, and you guys did a good job on that. Purdue, the same thing. What's going to be the key? What can you take from the other night to Friday to kind of limit these guys in terms of three-point shooting?
I could make it real simple, and to answer your first part of your question and the end of Lindsey's, I do hope sports can do something to bring our country together. Like I said all the time, I think my guys are role models. I want them to be role models. We're not perfect. But I also think that, locker rooms prove that people from different races, creeds, different backgrounds can all get together. And when they do, we can form an incredible team. And so I hope sports does bring that. So I'm glad we are getting back to sports. At the same time, I think our defense in that game, we just played harder. And, you can't play a team like Purdue and say they're going to go here on this play and there on that play, because it's more of a freelance motion offense that he's been very effective with since Gene Katie was there. So I told our guys, we're going to have to make some plays defensively, but what we got to do is stay disciplined and a lot of back cutting and contest threes and try to do a decent job on Travion. It's not only that he's a scorer, he is by far, and I mean this with incredible respect, the best passing big man I've seen in this league in a long time. A long time. There's been some decent ones, but I don't think anybody's done a better job of passing the ball. I mean, I've seen him throw it over his head, behind his back, flipped it here and there. He's just done an incredible job of passing the ball, too. So those are the things we got to stop, and I think you do it with energy. Who's kidding who? At Minnesota, we didn't have it. The other night we did. Can we get consistent energy?
Go next to Ryan Elke.
Hey, Tom. Really for Purdue, you see someone as big as Zach Edey at 7'4". It seems like Purdue always has someone over 7 foot. How do you attack someone of that size, and considering it's kind of the start of the big size we'll see in the Big Ten?
It is kind of, you're right. And he's a monster, man. I mean, I've never seen anything. I've seen some big guys there. They had a 7'3" guy, but not only is he 7'4", but his arms got to be, like octopus arms, and his feet. I mean, he is a big guy. And Matt has unbelievably done a great job over the years with different guys like that. And where you watch him in high school, and they can't run very good, and he has a great knack of turning them into something special. This kid, if you watch him, he's got some skills. He's got pretty good hands. He's young yet and learning, but I don't know how you go at him. I mean, I think you got to go right through his chest, because he's going to block shots if you go away from him, and maybe as I always, try to put guys like that in a lot of ball screens and make them work on defense. But he is going to be an interesting guy to watch as we go forward, because they've had a factory down there of doing it with 7-footers, as you said.
We have time for a couple more questions. We'll go first to Chris Solari.
We talked so much about the defense the other night and then again today, but the rebounding component of that, I think that, after getting out rebounded those last 2 games, I imagine that's probably something that not only you emphasize, but you're happy with seeing again.
Well, usually, as we always say, the motto of this program has been defend the rebound and run. And if you don't defend well, you probably don't rebound as well, because if you don't defend well, people are driving to the basket, and they're scoring baskets, which is harder to run off of. But if they're driving, then you don't rebound as well, because your bigs are helping out and stuff. I thought we did a good job of taking away the dribble penetration, which Purdue does very well too, and I think that helped us a lot. But it's we got to defend, rebound, and run. I mean, that's a big part of our program, big part of our team, and that's one of the things going into Nebraska we talked about. We've got to do a better job of that, and it starts with the defense. The defense doesn't end until you got the rebound, and then the offense starts.
We'll go last question to Kyle Austin.
Hey, Tom, just want to ask you, so far in Big Ten play, the home winning percentage has been pretty much the same as in past years, which I think, at least to me, was a little surprising. What in your mind has still made it, I guess, maybe a little easier to win at home and maybe a little tougher to win on the road, even with the environment now?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, there's been a few more games, one on the road nationally, but I still think there's an aura of an arena. There's a comfort level of the home team. There's sleeping in their own beds. They're, their days not spending in a hotel or something. I mean, I just think there's a process throughout the day that makes it a little better to be at home. But I think you'll see more, I don't know if they're upsets, but more, you can't be at a place like Michigan State or Purdue or Kansas or Kentucky or, wherever that has tremendous years of great home crowds, that it doesn't have some effect on you. But we know it's not going to have as big an effect as it used to have unless I can get all those cutouts to be voice activated. If I could do that, I could take care of the noise in the arena and getting on the officials a little bit. So I'll work on that. But other than that, I just think you're a little more comfortable at home, but I don't think it's as big a deal without the crowd. It really isn't. And I think you're going to see that. I think there are more teams that have won on the road. I just saw where, was it Alabama won at Tennessee, and then Texas beat the heck out of Kansas at Kansas. Kansas loses, one home game a decade. So there's some that have changed, but I think the reason is probably what I said, that you just have a better comfort level at home.
Go back to one more with Matt Sharper.
I did want to ask you a little bit about Malik. I know you've mentioned a couple times as playing well. It seems like kind of quietly we haven't really talked about him a whole lot. He's rebounding well. Seems like he's defending well. Do you see him kind of right on the edge of really kind of taking a big jump, maybe even offensively?
I do. I do. He's been shooting the ball better. He is kind of my perfect guy right now because he can sub in at different positions. I think before he's done, he's going to be able to play the 3, 4, and 5 even, as small lineups, big lineups. As I said, very cerebral player and cerebral kid, so he picks up everything. He's getting more confidence. I bet he's been as steady as anybody. Maybe not the same role as Aaron or same role as this guy or that guy, but as far as steadiness, consistency, he's been pretty solid. You can look up and say, hey, he's going to probably get you 5.5 rebounds. He's going to be able to, Kithier did a pretty good job, Hauser a little bit, but the job that was done on Harper was a lot Malik, and I thought he did a great job. So he gives us a chance to, move some guys around, and yet nothing really bothers him. If he comes off the bench, if he scores a few buckets or doesn't, he's been steady as a rock, and every coach needs a guy who's steady as a rock. So I do see him improving, getting better, getting a little bit more time, and seeing what we can do with him.
Seems like too he's not really affected much by the moments like late games. You have that trust that you could count on him. Does it seem like that? It seems like he even had that late last year a little bit.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I was watching some games from last year throughout this first part of the Big Ten, and it was amazing how often he was in a little later in the game, even with Xavier, and I think that's because of the consistency and steadiness of him. So I love having him along, and I think he's going to get better. So let's keep hoping he does, and it should be a great game. Hopefully, Purdue. Again, don't look at records. They had some guys sick early. Everybody went through different things. They played some good people early, lost a tough game. I think it was Florida State or somebody. So they've played some good people and have played well. And even games they lost, I mean, you look at it, I think they were at Iowa, at Illinois, and at Rutgers. I'm not sure it gets any tougher than that. And most of those games came down to the wire. So I'm expecting a lot out of Purdue and hopefully a lot out of Michigan State, and see if we can win another game. Thanks, guys.